could have been anywhere in the YouTube world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Welcome back to House Zay Views. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you had the chance to kick it with your family and friends that you usually don't get to see on the regular. I am for sure thankful for all of my family and friends and all the people that I have in my corner. Shout out to y'all, and thank y'all for just being grateful to each other, and I will never take any one of y'all for granted at all. But with that being said, let's run down the card for this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, the November 29th edition of Monday Night Raw. Let's get into it. So the night starts off with Seth Rollins. He's in the middle of the ring, and he is telling everybody that the match has finally been made. It's going to be Seth Rollins versus Big E for the WWE Championship at the Day 1 pay-per-view that we'll be getting on January 1st, 2022. As he's cutting this promo, he's really hyped. He's happy at the fact that he's finally going to get this one-on-one shot for the WWE Championship. Out comes Finn Balor. Finn Balor runs down on Seth Rollins, start punching on him. Pretty much a repeat of last week when Seth ran down on Finn, but this time Finn Balor got his revenge. But instead of the match not starting like how we got the week prior, we actually get a one-on-one match between these two. But it will come down to the end after a solid back and forth. Finn Balor would attempt to hit Seth Rollins with the 1916, but after a rake of the eyes, Seth would reverse, hit the curb stomp, 1, 2, 3, and Seth is looking strong going into this WWE Championship match with a nice win. They still have several weeks for the build. They have a solid month to build this match up, so let's see what steps they'll take in the next coming weeks. After that, we get a backstage segment with Mr. McMahon. He is joined by Austin Theory, the guy who stole the golden egg last week and the guy who got his opportunity at the WWE Championship. Austin did lose his match last week to Big E, but Mr. McMahon invited him backstage just to chill with him, kick it with him, and said, hey, you're going to be sitting by my side throughout the night, and we're going to watch how the show is presented. We're going to watch Monday Night Raw together, and you never know, we might get a surprise throughout the night. We might see something that we never would have thought we would see coming. Mr. McMahon will also go on to say, hey, look, Austin, I understand the move that you did last week, but if you ever try to steal from me again, I'll kill you. You know, it's just funny to see Vince McMahon on television, on screen in this day and age, to see him in 2021, see him in his old self, man, still kicking it, still rocking. It's just interesting to see Vince McMahon on television, but at the same time, it's a testament to WWE's ratings being as low as they are. And Vince McMahon, him and his big ass ego, thinking that him being on television is going to help ratings in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it probably did, but not by much. But let's see what goes on throughout the night as Vince McMahon got Austin Theory pretty much under the hip. Next, we get a contract signing for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. On next week's episode of Raw, we are going to get a championship match between the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch and the number one contender Liv Morgan. Well, the contract signing pretty much starts off with Becky Lynch verbally going in on Liv Morgan. Liv is like, hey, listen, you talk too much, chill out. And Liv was pretty much calling Becky Lynch out on the fact that she had called her a crybaby and pretty much made Becky Lynch look like a hypocrite when she played on the Titantron, this little post-match WWE.com exclusive interview that she had when Becky Lynch was pretty much in tears talking about the fight that she had with Charlotte and how upset that she is at the fact that their friendship had got to that level. Liv Morgan also went on to say, because of your big ass contract and you being greedy, that's why my friends are no longer here. They tried to implement something real into the promo, but it is what it is. That made Becky Lynch get hot. It made Becky Lynch get heated, and she announced that there's going to be a 5-on-5 tag team match in the night. There's going to be Team Becky Lynch, which consists of pretty much the Raw Women's Division heel portion of their roster. We got Becky Lynch leading the team of Tamina Snuka, Doudrop, Queen Zelina, and Carmella. Those five will be going up against the team of Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, the 24/7 champion Dana Brooke, Nikki Ash, and Rhea Ripley. Next, we get a little backstage segment with the Raw Tag Team Champions, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. Riddle is pretty much looking at Randy Orton in disappointment, wondering why Randy Orton didn't show up looking like Matt Riddle this week, like how Riddle showed up looking like Randy Orton the previous week. Orton was like, look, man, we don't have to look like each other or think like each other. All we gotta do is fight in tandem and fight together. When it comes to these Raw Tag Team Championships, we gotta be serious. We actually have a title defense tonight against the Dirty Dogs, which is odd because they, like, one of them lost to Matt Riddle last week. I don't understand how they were in line for the Tag Team Championships. But we get a Raw Tag Team Championship match when Team RK Bro defended their tag team titles against the Dirty Dogs. So they are selling this friendship and this bond that Matt Riddle and Randy Orton have grown to have. Towards the end of the match, they tried to hit a double RKO, even though it failed. Just to see them attempt to hit the double RKO was pretty interesting. The match would come down to its end when Dolph Ziggler would hit Randy Orton with the zigzag 1-2 kick out. Randy Orton actually would kick out of the zigzag, and when Dolph Ziggler would attempt to hit Randy Orton with the super kick, Randy Orton would dip up under that, reverse that, catch him with an RKO, 1, 2, 3, and still your Raw Tag Team Champions, the team of Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. Now, I don't know when they're going to divide this team up. I mean, that's usually the WWE formula when they do have a thrown together tag team that ends up winning the tag team championships. One of the partners ends up turning heel on the other guy. And looking at this, the obvious turn would be for Randy Orton to turn heel on Matt Riddle, especially with Randy Orton's past. Randy Orton is just one of the dopest heels in the business. But we've seen this in the past where even though it looked like that the most obvious two would turn heel. I don't know if you remember in the past when The Miz and Shane McMahon were thrown together to win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Shane McMahon would actually end up turning on Miz and turning heel when it looked like The Miz was going to turn on Shane. So they could do the same thing with this. They could have Matt Riddle turn on Randy Orton when Matt Riddle starts to see like, oh, okay, maybe Randy isn't into this as much as I was. Or they could have Randy Orton snap, lose his patience with Matt, and then start punting the shit out of Matt Riddle. I don't know. But we're going to see what happens with this rivalry if it does come into fruition. But for now, these two are still the Raw Tag Team Champions, and they've been Raw Tag Team Champions for months. Next, we get a backstage segment with Seth Rollins. He's walking backstage, and he runs into Kevin Owens. These two have been bumping heads on and off for the past couple weeks, and Kevin Owens pretty much puts the bug in Seth's ear. And he goes, hey, Seth, you do know that tonight I have a one-on-one shot with Big E. It's not for the WWE Championship, but if I do win this match, then I'll get added to the Day 1 pay-per-view, and it's going to be a triple threat match. Seth Rollins pretty much breaks out laughter and said, hey, nah, that's cap. I won a whole battle royal, and I went through a whole bunch of nonsense to become the #1 contender for the championship. Actually, I think he won a ladder match. See, it's been so long that I forgot how Seth Rollins became the #1 contender. But he's pretty much like, hey, I worked for my #1 contender spot. I worked for this one-on-one match. Don't you dare lie to me. Kevin Owens is like, hey, if you don't believe me, go ask Adam Pearce. He'll tell you that if I do win this match tonight, I will be added to the WWE Championship match at the start of the new year. And that sends Seth on a tizzy. He goes, hey, look, I'm going to run. I'm going to find Adam, and I'm going to figure this out because you're capping, sir. Then we hop from the backstage segment to the in-ring segment. I'm telling you, this is just a night full of segments. So far, we've only had 2 matches in the mix of all these segments. But we get the return of the Rated R superstar Edge. He's back. He took a little sabbatical. He took a little break. Edge goes on to say that there's a young crop of talent that he still hasn't got the chance to have a match with. He goes on to name AJ Styles, Damian Priest, and the WWE Champion Big E. As he starts naming these names, he gets interrupted. All you hear is, quiet on the set. Will we please have quiet on the set? And The Miz returns. We haven't seen The Miz in months. He's been away doing Dancing with the Stars. And you forget that he started this year as the WWE Champion before Bobby Lashley became champion. This year started with The Miz as WWE Champion. And he's not alone. He also has his wife, Maurice. Maurice is back, looking good. Looking like she ain't give birth to 2 kids. Yo, they came through looking like Miz and Mrs. and they are back. on Monday Night Raw. With the two legends standing in the ring face to face, Edge goes, "Hey, I worked for my respect. You demanded respect, but I worked for my respect." We thinking that we're about to get a confrontation between the two, but The Miz backs down. And it looks like that this is going to build towards a match between The Miz and Edge. And The Miz is possibly one of the safest workers in the company. Whenever The Miz disappears, it is to do some entertainment kind of thing. He's never usually injured. I can't remember The Miz ever really being injured. He's a very safe worker, so I guess for Edge to pretty much dust off that ring rust again, I mean, even though he's only been going for a couple months, they're going to have their match, and it should be a good one between The Miz and Edge. I'm looking forward to that one. Next, we get a tag team match between the Street Profits and American Alpha. During this match, we have AJ Styles and Omos ringside, and AJ Styles is selling the effects from last week when him and Omos got hit with the fire extinguisher. So he's outside. He's saying he's been blinded by that attack by the Street Profits. He has on the super thick black shades. He's selling the fact that he can't see. Every time when something awesome happens in the match, AJ's like, "Oh wait, what are you guys seeing? Oh my God, what's going on?" Pretty much selling it. But the match comes down to an end when AJ tries to get involved in the match. He tries to pull the leg of Montez Ford, but it doesn't work out. Montez Ford would hit the From the Heavens splash on Chad Gable 1, 2, 3, and the Street Profits end up beating the team of American Academy? No, Alpha Academy. Wow, I called them American Alpha, didn't I? Oh man, Alpha Academy. Street Profits, they defeat Alpha Academy. But the story of this match is more so Omos being led astray, him not even knowing that AJ Styles was selling the blindness. When the shades fell off and it was revealed that AJ could see, Omos was just like, "Whoa, you can see? How dare you lie to me?" So I don't know. I guess this is going to lead to them breaking up the team of Omos and AJ Styles, which is long overdue. I'm ready to see AJ Styles go in a single run. He needs to have this match with Edge, and he needs to have the WWE Championship. At least one more reign as WWE Champion. I need AJ as the champion again, man, for sure. Next, we get a backstage segment as Seth Rollins catches up with Adam Pearce. He's asking if this whole Kevin Owens added stipulation thing is true. And Adam Pearce is like, "Hey, yo, I didn't even talk to Kevin Owens today. I ain't see him at all. What you talking about?" So then Seth is confused. He's pissed. He storms out the office, and on his way out of the office, Sonya Deville comes in. And Sonya goes, "What was that about?" Adam Pearce is like, "Yeah, apparently Seth thinks that if Kevin Owens wins the match tonight, he'll get added to the Day 1 WWE Championship match." And Sonya's like, "I didn't make that rule. You didn't make that rule. However, it does sound interesting, doesn't it?" Next, we get the United States Championship match between Apollo Crews and Damian Priest. They've been teasing this for the past couple weeks. I thought we was going to wait a little while before we end up getting this match, but we got the match between the two young upstarts. It will come down to its end when Damian Priest would hit the reckoning on Apollo Crews. Very steady match, but easy retain. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest retains the United States Championship. His reign is looking pretty solid, and I hope that he goes on to either have a long-standing feud with Apollo, or if he gets placed into another feud that'll make him look strong as United States Champion. As long as they just book these mid-card belts, like I wish they would stop making us forget about the Intercontinental Championship, but at least they're giving the United States Championship some shine. Next, we get another backstage segment as Seth Rollins bursts in the office of Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. He's still going crazy after this whole Kevin Owens thing, him being added to the match if he wins tonight's match against Big E. He's tripping. And Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville said, "Hey, look, this whole thing wasn't true. But to be honest, it is a good idea. So now we're making it official. If Kevin Owens wins tonight's match against Big E, he will be added to the Day 1 match. And he will be added to the WWE Championship match." And, you know, the gears are starting to turn. You can see that Kevin Owens, this was an idea of his. He played everybody, and it worked in his favor. So now he has that stipulation added to his match. Next, we get a tag team match between the Mysterios, the team of Rey Mysterio and Dominic. They form a tag team, and they go up against the Hurt Business. Now, even though they said that Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander are back with Bobby Lashley, and they have them on the black and gold, the Hurt Business t-shirts and all that. They haven't really been seen too much together. With the exception of Shelton and Cedric getting involved in that Goldberg match, we haven't really seen the Hurt Business together. But anyway, after eating a couple of losses throughout the past few weeks and just teasing a little dissension between the father and son duo, they would actually end up winning this match as Dominic would hit the frog splash on Cedric Alexander for the 1-2-3. And the Mysterios, they win this tag team match. Next, we get our 5-on-5 women's tag team match as Becky Lynch along with Tamina, Doudrop, and the women's tag team champions Queen Zelina and Carmella as they take on Liv Morgan, the 24/7 champion Dana Brooke, Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. They give the ladies a silent amount of time, but the match comes down to its end when Liv Morgan will hit the Oblivion, which is the name of her finishing move, which I actually really like. She hits that on Tamina for the 1-2-3, looking strong going into this women's championship match that we're going to get next week. So Liv Morgan, she gets the win for her team, and let's see what happens next week. A lot of people do think that Becky's going to retain, but let's see what we get out of Liv Morgan in this match. And if she does win, it could possibly be the upset of the year as far as WWE booking goes. But let's see, man. Let's see what we get out of this Women's Championship match. Lastly, we have our main event of the night. WWE Champion Big E going up against Kevin Owens in a non-title match. However, if Kevin Owens wins this one-on-one match, he will be added to the Day 1 pay-per-view main event for the WWE Championship. Right now, it's evenly Seth Rollins versus Big E, but if Kevin Owens wins this match, then that match will be a triple threat, like I said in past reviews. So Seth comes out to join them ringside, and man, once again, shout out to OSW Review. Looking at Seth Rollins fit, what a bar is he? And in my opinion, Seth is looking like the 2-pack of Starburst when you get the red and the pink one. The Valentine's Day pack of Starbucks. So we get this one-on-one match between Big E and Kevin Owens. And the genius of Kevin Owens start the show. And the reason why he put all this together, the reason why he put the stipulation together, he knew that Seth was going to be ringside. He knew that Seth was going to be on standby for this match. And Kevin Owens, being as smart as he is, somewhere in between the match, Kevin Owens ran outside the ring and started punching on Seth Rollins. Tried to, instigate and get in the face of Seth Rollins to piss Seth off. And guess what Seth Rollins does? He runs into the ring and starts punching on Kevin Owens. The second he hit Kevin Owens, that's when Kevin Owens would win this match by disqualification. So Kevin Owens, being as smart as he is, he knew that Seth Rollins was going to get involved in a match. He knew that Seth Rollins was going to force the disqualification. And with that disqualification, Kevin Owens has been added to the WWE Championship match. So it looks like we're getting exactly what I predicted at the Day 1 pay-per-view, January 1st, 2022. For the WWE Championship, we are going to have a triple threat match. Big E defends the belt against Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. So that was pretty much this installment of Monday Night Raw, setting up a couple of matches and continuing a couple of storylines. Where in the future, we're going to get that match between Bianca Belair and Doudrop eventually. Next week, we're going to get that Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. They set up the triple threat match that we're going to get at the Day 1 pay-per-view. And it looks like Austin Aries is a top prospect. The only thing that I felt like that was odd this week is nobody tried to jump Dana Brooke for that 24/7 championship. The Mob didn't show up. Nobody tried to take the belt from her during that 5-on-5 women's match. I thought that was pretty odd. But besides that, Raw was pretty smooth. With that being said, once again, this is House's A Views. Thank you for following through. And if you can, like, comment, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on, engage. And hey, man, thanks for following through. Until next time, peace.